Back in the early 2000s, my father got me a book, which he does on a regular basis. But this book was called AGenerous Orthodoxy by Brian McLaren. Let me give you the little subtitle here. Why I am a missional and evangelical and post-Protestant and liberal conservative and mystical poetic and biblical and charismatic contemplative and fundamentalist Calvinist and Anabaptist Anglican and Methodist and Catholic and green and incarnational and depressed yet hopeful and emergent and unfinished Christian. I like to try to keep these videos right about 4 minutes or so. I think I might have just used up most of my time just with the title of that book. But the argument of the book is that Christianity has taken on many kind of shapes and forms through the years, and the problem that many of us have is that we assume that our thread is the only thread, or is the only right thread, and everybody else has got it wrong. And so the premise of the book is why there is something in all of these traditions, even the ones that might be the furthest from us, why there is something in all of these traditions and all of these branches that to teach us something that we can learn from each of them. There's a quote that I want to read from this book, and it says this: "We must never underestimate our power to be wrong when talking about God, when thinking about God, when imagining God, whether in prose or in poetry. A generous orthodoxy, in contrast to the tense, narrow, or controlling orthodoxies of so much of Christian history, doesn't take itself too seriously. It is humble. It doesn't claim too much. It admits it walks with a limp." Any of you who know me well, you know that I tend to shy away from certainty. I tend to ask a lot more what-if questions than I do make grand pronouncements or proclamations. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Christian tradition is rich with, in some ways, divergent ideas. And I think sometimes theologically we lose sight of the fact that we are strongest when we hold those divergent ideas in tension. As a matter of fact, there are some things that we as Christians believe we have to hold in tension. We must hold in tension that Jesus Christ was fully human and that he was fully divine. Those two ideas are counterintuitive. How do you hold on to both of them? We must hold in tension a God that is three distinct, unique persons and yet one entity. How do you do that? Those two things oppose one another. And so as Christians, we should be comfortable, we should even maybe feel compelled to recognize that the narrow, simple way that absolves the world of all of its tension is not God's way. It's not even a part of God's character. As a matter of fact, the tension is quite necessary for our overall health and well-being in order for us to truly be able to wrestle with who God is, or to talk about, think about, imagine who God is. The ability to hold on to those things that we don't necessarily understand, and to admit that our best comprehension is little more than us walking with a limp, is actually an important part of what it means for us to think theologically.